This is A Portable Shelter, Chapter 2. Liska. Hush, hush, don't fidget. Your mama is sleeping. It's just us now, hiding in the night time. Hush, I tell you. Let your mama sleep while your other mama talks to you. The dark brings stories, and I want to share one. You can't see it yet, but there's a lighthouse nearby. Every minute its steady beam sweeps through our window and lights up the room. It lights up this bed beside the table and this horrible creature upon it. You can't imagine ugliness yet, so trust when I say it's terribly, terribly ugly. It's called a troll, and your mama only allows one inside the house. She hates them so. Every time I go back to Norway, I leave a little of my old self there, but in return I bring back a troll. Another ugly, misshapen thing carved from local wood. I line them up on the doorstep. Your mama prefers that, for them to be outside. She doesn't like all the reminders of the parts of myself I leave behind. Oh, not that the old versions of me are foul, rotten, filthy with sin, or anyhow, no more so than anyone else. We all do a little bit of wrong. You'll see that soon. But your mama lets me bring just one troll inside, because she knows as well as I do that our pasts can also be protection. A scar shows you survived. A nightmare shows you what you love too much to lose. And here's the thing about trolls. The uglier, the better. Ugliness is not to be feared. It's beauty that hides the danger. And that brings me to my story. My own mama told it when I was much bigger a thing than you are now. I wish she'd told me sooner, so I could have known the wonders and dangers of it. That is why I am telling you these stories. I know that you'll make your mistakes, learn your lessons. But I hope that these stories will save you a few. We all make them, but you don't have to make all of them. Are you sitting comfortably? I can't feel you, so I will have to trust. Two, the keep. We started with a ring. We thought she would like that. When she opened the drawer and saw the ring there, reclining gleamingly on a hank of pink silk, her face opened up sunny joyful. We knew that she thought it was from him. That couldn't be helped. She put it straight onto her finger. We watched her toy cattish with it for the rest of the day, twisting it to and fro as she swooned and hummed around the caravan. When she'd first arrived, she'd moved slyfoot, placed teacups down with fretting care, each step tight-roping. We knew why. When we'd first arrived, we'd seen the way the little tin caravan sat high in the tree, bound to the thick oak branches, hung flimsy-like over a fast-flowing burn. We'd all moved slyfoot then, too, at first. We had not wanted to make the caravan fall clatter-crash out of the tree. But soon we settled, just as she was settled, and her steps fell hard as hail. That was when we crept out of our hiding places. To and fro she twisted the ring. She cleaned in time with her songs, finding pretty nooks for all the things that needed tidied away. A pint of milk, a pink slinking nightgown, a dustpan, a pair of toothbrushes. The caravan was a labyrinth of hidings, drawers and cupboards and little sneaky nooks. Finally, she felt the words a spark scratchy on her skin. She frowned, pulling off the ring to peer at its innards. "Until I die." She rubbed where the etched words had caught her. If we had had breath, we would have held it. We watched her frown a realization, then release it in fear of wrinkles. We knew as well as she did that he would not stand for wrinkles. Perhaps the ring was not a gift from him after all. Perhaps she'd stumbled on the remnants of old loves. But whose? Until I die, and he was still alive. She tried to open the drawer and hide the ring, but that drawer would not open again today. She tugged and she coaxed, but the drawer stuck fast. Finally, she hid the ring in her face cream, dropping it in and shaking the little pot until it was submerged. We watched as she opened and opened and opened the bathroom cupboards until she found one the perfect size, its edges kissing the face cream pot as she slid it in. Such tininess in the caravan, but always somewhere to be secret. When he came home, she greeted him with neat kisses. We hid in the smallest cupboard and listened. There was no talk of gifts. Her finger was swollen where the words had scratched, but he did not notice. Outside the caravan, the rain shushed and the wind throbbed and the moon blinked bright. Inside, time stopped. The chattering birds stole all sound. The spreading leaves took all sight. After dinner, he used his petty magic to transform the couch into their bed. They lay together. We wished that we still had hands so that we could cover our ears. The next day, after he had left, we tried again. A hair ribbon, plush velvet, thick as wolf fur, red as a heart. She found it while trying drawers in search of washing up gloves. She forgot about the dishes and reached for the ribbon. It curled lovingly into her hand, and with a turn she bumped the drawer shut with her hip. She pulled back her conker shining curls with one hand, the other ribbon busy. But a tickle on her finger sides. She stopped and peered. 3 hairs twist tangled in the ribbon, ever so long and ever so blonde. We watched her look at the hairs. We watched her stroke the blood-red ribbon. We watched her fingers come away wet. With a cry, she dropped the ribbon and kicked it away from her. She didn't try to open the drawer again this time. She knotted and knotted and knotted the ribbon, and she opened her underwear drawer and pushed it right to the corner, covering it up with her fripperies and frills. When he came home, they ate in silence. Her fingertips were stained red. They went to bed, and we had no need of covering our ears. In the darkness, we heard the click-clack of her thoughts. We watched her open the drawer 4 more times in 4 more days. We left her a silken negligee, delicate as moth wings, a pair of stockings twisted garrote thin, eyelashes faded grey and crumbling, painted fingernails with fleshly scraps caught at their bases. And on the 7th day, we left her a heart. We watched her open the drawer as though she were looking into a lion's mouth. She turned slyfoot again. Despite the labyrinthing, she was running out of places to hide our things. She pulled back when she saw the heart enthroned in the drawer among a scatter of dried roses. It shivered in a single beat. She leaned in. Perhaps she thought it was a kitten, butter soft and full of mules. Perhaps all these gifts were from him after all. We watched her lift out the heart. She held it in her hands. She squeezed it hard. The flesh bulged around her fingers. Of course she did not think it was a kitten. Now we understood her thoughts and her insides as if her skin were made of glass. He'd taken a caravan, a portable shelter, ordinary as dirt. He'd taken it and magicked it into a labyrinth for girls, a make-believe home the size of 8 coffins lashed together. Some girls escaped, but we didn't. We ignored the signs, or the signs weren't there. We'd got lost, and we'd never been found. Our tangles of hair, our bright scraps of frock, tossed up into the trees to be worked into birds' nests. Our straight white bones and our tender mauve organs dropped down into the burn, carried out to sea. He thought that was the end of us. She spoke to us then. She told us how he had found her, rescued her, claimed her, made her see that the world was cold and dark and hard and empty, but with him life would be delicious, abundant. He put his hands over her eyes, and when he took them away, she saw differently. The happenings before him were too hard to focus on, furled and dark like sun-damaged film. All she could see was his face. "We know," we cried, though she could not hear. We all knew his face. It was the last thing we'd seen. We shouted that it would be the last thing she'd see too. He'd tear out her heart just so he could hold it in his hands. He'd throw the remnants of her to the trees and the sea. Some of them ran long before reaching the heart. Some of them ignored its urgent throb, staying until they couldn't leave. But for her, this was enough. She dropped the heart. With her bloodied hands, she tore open the door. She ran away. We knew she wouldn't be back. We slipped back into the littlest cupboards and waited for him to come back to his crowded, empty